Oh man, that was for me, that was a lot of fun. Been doing this for a long time. I don't think I've done a spring game for 29 years. It's probably the 28th spring game or 27th. And the way we split the teams up, the way we split the coaches up, I mean, it was literally, and our staff from recruiting to nutrition to the strength staff was totally split. And so I thought it gave it some extra energy. Really happy the way the guys played. I thought there were some big plays early with our playmakers, the guys that we need to go make plays, and then I think the defense consistently sprinted to the football, which is something that I think that this defense, I kind of told y'all last week, I mean, it's going to be kind of the no-name defense, and I don't mean that as like we're not going to have some big-time guys that are going to make a name, but just the depth that gets to go on the field. So really happy. We came out really healthy as far as everybody that started the scrimmage was able to finish the scrimmage. We pulled some guys once we got enough reps with certain guys and played some young guys. But overall, I thought the energy was great. I mean, we had a lot of families here, so it was a good crowd, and I was happy that the parents were able to get to watch their sons and a few recruits. And so we stayed dry. And I got a picture this morning. I hated not going to Midland. Man, I've been trying to get to Midland for the last 3 years, but I did get a picture with a lot of rain in Midland at about 8 o'clock. So we got lucky. We got a great indoor, great facilities. We were able to get the spring game in. I know you already have questions, so I can comment off the questions and different players and everything like that. So open up for questions.
Coach, I guess you talked about some of the big plays early offensively. I guess what was that like for you to see Cochran and Juice, kind of the way they were play calling? I guess what was that like for you to see that, and just kind of how explosive the offense looked?
Yeah, I was really excited. I told both of them we had a great Thursday practice where we split the teams up and we practiced against each other, like 7-on-7, run, play, action, pass, third down, and then just a call-up period. And man, I thought there was a lot of energy in that. I thought they did a really good job of. The one thing I learned a long time ago, 94, 95, it's players over plays. Get your players the ball. Get them involved early. I thought that they did that in the practice the other day really well, and I thought they did it really well today. The guys that needed early touches got the early touches. Caleb, Josh Kelly, Coy. Those guys got early touches and really kind of got the offense going.
Can you talk about, Joey, your quarterbacks? I think, if I had it correctly, Hammond and Brown, a couple of touchdown passes apiece, and what about Jake Strong? Just what you saw from those guys?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. I thought early in the game, Will was really on the mark. I could be wrong. I have to go back and look. But, I think counting the interception, I don't know if the ball hit the ground whenever he was out there, in the first half. I could be totally wrong. I don't know if he had an incompletion, but, I thought he operated really well. I thought all three of them, again, you saw some times that I think they sped the game up that they didn't have to, just on they felt pressure from our defensive line, and sometimes you got to step up in the pocket and make a play knowing you're going to get hit. The one touchdown to Coy, Will would have gotten hit. It wouldn't have been a sack, but he would have got hit. He would have got hit, and he stepped up into the pressure, and so I thought that was really good. When we get through with this, I'm really anxious whenever Kirk, our offensive analyst, Kirk Bryant, gives me the full year. I mean, not the full year, the full spring of our completion percentages, interceptions. Like, for instance, that was our 15th practice, and that was Will Hammond's fourth interception out of every time he's thrown the ball in the spring. That's every 7-on-7 rep. That's every competitive rep. That's the fourth time he's thrown an interception. So he's done a really good job of taking care of the football. Thought Jake came out and threw the ball well. It's one of those deals that those guys. They all kind of do different things at a really high level. I think the one thing that you're going to see with Cam that really lets him get going, we kind of had a little bit of a guy like this, Charlie Brewer. He's one of those guys, if he gets hit, He's got to kind of get hit and get going and get in the game. It only happened one time today where you could see him really open up and run, but the run game, whenever he's in there, I think is going to make a big difference.
Following up on that, do you have a depth chart at quarterback coming out of spring yet, or no?
I'm kind of anxious to see, no doubt, Barron's number one. I think the guy that goes in after that is going to be Cam Brown. You want to work your tail off unless you have to where you don't want to play a freshman, or you only want to play a freshman in those 4 games. And so I think it's, as you go through, Barron and Cam are the 2 guys that we play tomorrow. And the reason I say Cam is because we've really worked on some different things that, I hate to bring this up because it's a nightmare for me, but I think you would see a lot of what K-State, the packages they did in that game against us, whenever that was really his first extended play, their freshman quarterback. I think you would see a lot of that style of football whenever Cam is in the game, or if he has to come into the game, you're going to kind of see a lot of that. And so those 2 guys are the guys that I would be going 1 and 2.
Do you have an update on Barron and kind of how he's progressing?
I feel really good, man. He would tell you that he could go play today, and we have got a great plan with our doctors and different people that are throwing experts, as far as how our rehab and everything like that's going. But man, he's been, I probably would say after the 2nd or 3rd day of rest, man, he would tell you he's pain free, and he literally asked the doctor, hey, so I'm good in the spring game. And so we feel really good where we're at. It's as you know, the world that we live in, if we didn't, you'd probably be looking, into the portal and everything like that. And we feel really good about the quarterback room. Still got to grow, man. That's something that we've just got to grow that room and keep developing them. This is going to be a big summer for those guys. Just the things that they've got to get better at. Cam, those are really like anything that, he can put it on a rope. He does that very well. He's got to continue to work on his touch, on his deep balls. So that's going to be a big part of his June, working through that. Talk to Jake all the time. That if you think about and you go back and you chart Jake's good plays and bad plays, the majority of his bad plays are in the middle of the field, right over the linebacker's level, tip balls that are interceptions. So him getting better and better at seeing that, and then you got a freshman that you just got to keep growing into college football with Will. But those are the things in June that we'll really focus on with those guys.
Speaking of that, with the growth that you've seen, talk about some of the younger players that you've seen in these last 15 practices that have made the biggest growth in your mind.
We saw him in the bowl game. I would say Amir Washington. He's like a bull in a china closet. Should have been a huge play by the white team on one of the run plays because we didn't set the edge, and Amir, chased. I think it was a 2-yard game because he caught the running back from behind throwing his body. So I'm really excited about him. I thought he's a redshirt freshman, going to be a redshirt sophomore, so not really young, but I think Jalen Peoples has had a really good spring. He's starting to really grow. Some of the guys that played, but then the guys that I'm really excited about, that have come on, is Jaden Cofield, and he had a great spring game, and he's really come on. Braylon Rigsby in that defensive line room have really come on, and then Sheridan Wilson has had a really good spring. It's just the great thing about him is, he's doing a great job at center, and we've got a group of 4 or 5 guys that can play guard and center. So excited about those guys.
Joey, Brian Willis had one touchdown, got 7 carries, reportedly in the portal. Are you just give him an opportunity to put stuff on tape, or what's the situation?
Yeah, it's the same thing we did. With if you go back, Loic, got in the portal and was fixed to graduate a Red Raider. I thought he was smart by doing that. There were some guys that did not do that should have, because at the end of the day, it's all about getting your education and getting your degree. So it's kind of those same situations of those guys, just giving them opportunity. They want it. I always give those guys a choice, man. I mean, if they decide to move on, if they want to finish off with their brothers and play in a game, that it's good for them and good for us.
Is there any possibility he stays?
No, I think once you get to those points that there's reasons that I always look at the portal like I think there's some really bad things that go on of guys getting in the portal. It's amazing how many people will not find homes that are in there right now or still in there, that are in there from December. But then there's some good things too. Like the one thing that I say is anytime a coach, that recruited you or a head coach gets fired, then, that should open up to where you can move. But then whenever you start looking at like, hey, I always ask them like, do you want to play football? Yes. Then like looking at the depth charts, like, okay, I want to play football. It's not that I want to stay at home whenever we go to Washington State or whenever we go to Arizona. I want to play football. So I think that's good. I think that's what the portal's intended for.
Hey, Coach, you talked about some of the young guys up front on defense earlier, but Dylan Spencer is a guy who stood out some today, and I'm wondering what his ceiling is and what the expectations are for him next season.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it says a lot about a couple things. You call it the golden triangle, the 409. Dylan and Amir, Quincy Ledette's actually from there, but both of those guys are from, that area. And, man, they're two of the toughest young players I've been around. They both seek contact. They're both extremely physical. I think with those two guys, getting them really settled, and they really are. That's what we've really tried to do in spring is like, hey, Dylan, you're playing the B. You're not having to play the F and the B. Hey, Amir, you're playing the F. And so it takes a lot off their plate as young players to really define their job of what they're trying to do. And I think you saw that. They both played really fast today. Yeah, I'm really excited about those guys. Those guys have huge upsides when you start talking about guys that can really make a name for themselves and guys that, on defense that we've had here in the past. Those guys definitely are going to be able to do that. But, they are physical. They seek contact with those two. They're both, bull in China closet with both of them.
Coach, I've heard time for a couple more.
Heard a lot about Cam Dickey so far this spring, and we finally got to see it in a live action scenario. It seemed like the short area burst was really good. I guess what else makes him so successful and have such success so far? Yeah,
he's 219, so I think he does a really good job in pass pro. He's very physical. I think he's got really good hands out of the backfield. That's something that's really impressive, the way he catches the ball out of the backfield. Like you said, it's perfect description, short area burst. He's freaking got really good vision. And then the other thing that he brings too, he played quarterback in high school. He's got a really good arm, so you never know what's coming with that if he's in there. He reminds me, they're different to a little bit. It reminds me a lot of Taj. Man, he's just kind of really just comes to work. He doesn't talk a lot. He just puts his head down and tries to get better. I think that's a really good combination whenever you're starting talking about Taj. You're talking about Cam Valdez. I thought Cam ran well today, and he had a huge on a big play on the offense. He had a huge blitz pickup. I mean, stoned. I don't know exactly who was coming, but it was great contact. We got the ball off. And then Cam Dickey, and then we're going to add Jacoby Williams, who's got one of the fastest 110 hurdle times in the country right now. He ran a 13.8 the other day, and haven't got to see what he's run yet to see if he can get to regionals, but I know it's going to be fast. And so we add him. So, we feel really good about those guys.
Coach, I know you had the in-helmet communication there for the bowl game as well. Now you have the 2-minute warning. When you're trying to get these guys ready for what it's going to be like in the NFL, I guess, what are your early thoughts of having those informations?
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of, I follow, guys, I follow everything whenever it comes to social media and reading a lot of different stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of kind of like, why do we have the 2-minute warning? I think it's going to be good, because if you think about it, at the end of the game, when you haven't hit your TV timeouts, you get a touchdown, and they go we kick the field goal and they go to a timeout, and then all of a sudden we kick the ball off and then they go to the timeout because they're trying to get all their TV timeouts in. They're going to get a certain number of TV timeouts. So the way I look at it is we already have one built in. Like we know it's a 2-minute warning that we'll have a TV timeout, and so I think that's going to be good. It'll change a little bit. I feel like you got an extra timeout early in the, maybe first. I mean, not early in the first, early in the third quarter or early in the fourth quarter that you're going to be able to possibly use one if you need it. Because we really like to have 3 timeouts, going into the 2-minute, 1-minute area. So I think that's good. On the other side, the flip side, man, I'm extremely frustrated with the helmet communication. I can send it to all y'all, or Dowdy can, my reply. I thought it was just ridiculous the way they decided to do it. I'm really frustrated because you had the perfect time in college football to get it right, and you chose not to. You chose to take the easy way out and decide, hey, let's just do it like the NFL. We don't play in the NFL. We don't huddle. Like there's no point that you're going to not be able to, you're going to have to signal playing us. You're going to have to signal playing majority of college football. So you got one guy and you're talking to him and we're still having to signal. So the whole point to be able to do this was to do the communication right to where we didn't have to signal. And we had that opportunity. If you think about it, the momentum was in that phase because you could have used the situation with Michigan and everything. We chose not to. So my frustration, I've literally tried to call everybody in the committee. I've talked to different people. I've talked to Coach Bowles now with the AFCA about my frustration because I went into a bowl game and we had 3 guys on the headset, and guys, we did not signal one single time on the defensive side of the ball. So that eliminates that right there on one side of the ball. Now you get the opportunity to choose how you want to do it on the offensive side of the ball, whether it's the O-line, the quarterback, and maybe somebody else, or you could just have the quarterback. But, man, I just think they fumbled that in a big way, and it frustrates me because you had the opportunity to really help change the game, and we chose not to. We chose to take the easy way out. And so that's kind of been my stance from the get-go. I've made how I feel known to everybody that's a part of it, and hopefully they revisit it whenever it's still the same thing, because you're not having a lot of teams huddle. And then I don't know if I'd huddle anyway facing a team that huddles. Just from the standpoint of if I'm huddling up and college football, you have so many different personnel packages. You have more people playing. There's more depth in college football about as far as the amount of people. And then I know I'm gonna get on the soapbox, but you asked a question. The other thing we did is we just put more stuff on the officials because now we have to go. And I don't think I could be totally wrong. I don't think they do this in the NFL. But think about this. Jacob Rodriguez has the green dot on. Okay? Now, we're going to put Bryce Ramirez in. So Jacob's got to come off. Or Bryce has got to wear a different helmet if he's going to be the green dot guy. Like, you can only have one on there. Well, who's officiating that? The officials. And then it's a penalty. So if you end up with 2 guys on the field with 2 green dots, it's a penalty. So now I've got to have my equipment guys holding extra helmets for the green dot guys. I mean, come on. Literally, you had the simplest way to fix all of this, and you was like, hey, let's just put more on the officials. I have a whole nother soapbox on, again, the equipment that we're using and kind of stuff like that, but that's for a whole nother day. So, you got me fired up. I appreciate you asking, though, because I really wanted to talk about this, and I've really tried to, kind of push back as much as I can, because why do it that way in the bowl game, and all the feedback was it worked great, and then do it this way. So
Finish with Don.
Sorry, Don.
I hate to change the subject.
No, it's okay, man. I'm glad you are, man. I got a little fired up.
But I'm going to ask you about Reese Burkhart's field goal.
Yeah, awesome, man. Like, what a problem to have, and it's, at the end of the day, you've got to create competition. He has had a really good spring. It's going to be interesting because that is how he's kicked all spring. I mean, he's been very, very consistent. And I'm proud of the way that he's come back, because in the fall, he was, our kickoff guy, and he wasn't very consistent at all. And so he has worked his tail off. So it's going to be interesting going into camp. Gino always makes you feel good because he's done it in the games and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I can't look at CJ and I can't look at Caleb and I and say, hey, we're going to put the best players out on the field, but we're not going to compete for it. That's just the opinion. So it's a competition, and if it means that we take that competition in fall camp, then we're going to take that competition in fall camp. And I was really proud of him.
That's Jared over here.
One quick follow-up on the headset communication.
Yeah.
What explanation did you receive back from the powers that be on your pushback?
Well, the NFL's done it, and so let's just do it like the NFL. The problem is that's not a good answer, because the NFL huddles. And then so I've been talking to a lot of people also in the NFL, so as soon as anybody goes, hurry up, they either have to signal or they're yelling around, and it totally changes the game. And it's basically when it changes their game, it's what the college game is. So that was the explanation. It was like, hey, let's just go with the sure thing of how it works. Well, the sure thing worked when we played. Whenever I talked to Neil Brown, who used it in his game, and then he's used it actually the last 3 springs, and he's like, it worked for us. We didn't have any issues. So it was really just, hey, it was almost like, hey, let's get it passed the easiest way it could get passed. That would be different if what happened in this fall hadn't happened. If it was like never had happened and you didn't have this push to get rid of that, then I could understand that and I get it. But because of what happened in the fall, you had a huge push to change this, so use that momentum and get it right. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting who has penalties. It's also going to be interesting. I told a couple of different people, and I talked to Will Muschamp at Georgia, a good friend of mine, and talking to him was like, hey, we're just going to try to go faster on offense, because if you're going to try to talk to your Mike linebacker, and that's the only one that you're talking to, you're going to be in trouble. We're just going to try to go faster, try to get you out. You're going to have to signal. So we just defeated the purpose of getting it right.